work at their marriage relationship by being there for each other. So we see that marriages can get in trouble when spouses are distant from each other, either emotionally or even physically. They're not there. Even though they would be there present physically, emotionally they weren't there for each other. And so we see that she's trying to get those daughters of Jerusalem to help her. So we see that in verse 9 it says, "What is thy beloved more than another beloved, O thou fairest among women? What is thy beloved more than another beloved, that thou dost so charge us?" So here we see that, our lesson, that we would expect the women of Jerusalem to help her. And so they asked her to tell them why her true love was more than any other man, but it was more important than any other man. Here we see the young women of Jerusalem appeared throughout, last week's lesson or a poem, and here we see this week. Here we see the woman introduced herself to them. And here, for last week's lesson, and she urged them 3 times to wait until the right time before they awakened love. So we see here that last week that they helped decorate Solomon's carriage for the wedding day. The young women of Jerusalem, they wove the cloth that covered the couch on his carriage. We see that the woman asked the young women to send a message to her true love. She shared with them that her true love was also her friend. So here the young women of Jerusalem responded by listening or assisting the woman. But this time they responded different than they did last week. Here we see that she asked him to send a message to her true love that she was lovesick for him. Her commitment to him shows love for him in their marriage. So here they ask the question, what makes a wife certain that her husband is better than another? And what makes a husband believe that his wife rises above other women? So them being married to each other, this is how they feel about a woman, that they have the greatest husband or the greatest wife. So we know commitments a husband and a wife make to each other in marriage serve as the foundation of a couple's relationship. The strength of the marriage depends on this, and the commitments that they'll have for the rest of their lives. So the couple will make and keep their marriage as long as they live. When we have God in their marriage, and they have the marriage relationship physically and emotionally. So we see that also Christian couples, for this marriage involves a devotion to God. They intend to grow in love for each other and to focus on growing as God loves them, put God first in their marriage. And so, and then showing their relationship with each other. So we see that Christians show their love in each other by staying faithful to one another. A commitment and faithfulness in marriage, we know that each and every day so many marriages are broken and pulled apart. They're faced with challenges and temptations. And here we see that couples that have accepted Christ into their hearts, and they work at it, and they face these challenges and temptations, but they make it work. They put God first, and so they stay together. So here we see in verses 10 through 12, it says, "My beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000. His head is as fine gold, his locks are bushy and black as a raven. His eyes are as the eyes of doves by the rivers of waters washed with milk and fitly set." So here the woman is describing her husband, what she sees as his looks or his appearance. So as I said, the woman told the young women of Jerusalem that she loved the man. Her love shows her eagerness to find him by, searching the city everywhere and asking for all the help and what she went through, with her heart broken. Here we see that she considers him to be quiet and ruddy. In her eyes, he was extremely handsome, an outstanding man who distinguished himself above 10,000 other men. Then starting from his head, she painted a picture of him from a heart full of love. That's how she looked at him above all other men. He was the greatest in her eyes, also he looks at the woman as great as in his eyes. So we see there that he was, she started from the head, and she painted a picture of him. She said his head gleamed like fine gold. His locks were bushy and black. He was robust and energetic. So she talked about his eyes. She loved him so much, she compared his eyes with doves. The birds that symbolize tranquility, gentleness, and peace, as they perch near the rivers of the waters. Says, as if his eyes had been washed with milk, referring to the whites of his eyes. So we see that she thought his eyes looked like precious jewels that had been set perfectly in a ring or a necklace. So we see how much love she had for him and what her eyes saw in his appearance. And so we see that she describes him, and we didn't show it in our lesson, but probably his description of her would be the same. They both put their husband or wife above, all other men and women. So